Welcome to our heartfelt tribute channel. We're here to celebrate the incredible legacies of icons like Brandon Blackstock, Lucia Ephraim, Osvaldo Piro, and other remarkable figures we've recently lost. Join us to honor their inspiring stories and lasting impact. Hit subscribe for moving tributes. John Miyahara. What makes a silent character the heart of a show? In Superstore, one man stole scenes without saying a word, and his story is more intriguing than you might think. John Miyahara, the actor behind Brett Kabashigawa, turned quiet glances into comedy gold. But there's so much more to his journey that'll leave you curious, and maybe a little emotional. Brett was the unsung hero of Cloud9, the fictional superstore where chaos reigned. For 6 seasons, from 2015 to 2021, he mopped floors, restocked shelves, and delivered deadpan stares that had viewers cracking up. With almost no lines, he appeared in 105 episodes, becoming a fan favorite for his subtle genius. Whether it was a raised eyebrow or a blank look, John made Brett unforgettable. His colleagues called him a master of saying everything with just a glance. But what was it about John himself that made this role so special? The answer might surprise you. Born in Los Angeles in 1941, John Miyahara was a second-generation Japanese-American with a quiet charm. Superstore wasn't just his biggest role, it was practically his only one. Before landing the part of Brett, he had almost no acting credits, which makes his impact even more remarkable. At 74 when the show started, he stepped into the spotlight late in life, leaving fans wondering, what was he doing before Cloud9? Some say he had a whole other career, but the truth is shrouded in mystery. And that's exactly what makes his story so gripping, that if you've seen Superstore, you probably remember the tornado episode. In the Season 2 finale, Brett finally spoke, uttering a single, perfectly timed, "Oh, demon," as a storm tore through the store. Fans lost it. The next season, the Cloud9 crew thought Brett was gone for good, even holding a memorial where Sandra sang "Creep" on the ukulele. But in true Brett fashion, he strolled back in and scathed like nothing happened. That moment cemented his legend, proof you don't need words to steal the show. But his influence didn't stop at Superstore. John brought Brett back for a sneaky cameo in American Auto, another sitcom by Superstore creator Justin Spitzer. This brief appearance confirmed the two shows shared a universe, delighting fans who caught the Easter egg. It was a rare glimpse of John outside Cloud9, and it only added to his cult status. But just when fans were rewatching his scenes, heartbreaking news hit that on August 6, 2025, John Miyahara passed away at 83, with his wife, Chio, by his side. His daughter, Penny, shared that he loved working on Superstore. Co-star Colton Dunn broke the news on Instagram, calling John an awesome guy who could speak volumes with just a look. Kelly Stables, who played Kelly, wrote, "He was always so sweet." Irene White, who played Carol, called him an incredible man. The tributes poured in, each one painting a picture of a kind, quiet soul who left a big mark. But there's a question that lingers. Why did John start acting so late? Fans on platforms like Reddit have speculated that Superstore was a second career for him. Some say he might have been new to the industry, with no major roles before Brett. Others wonder if he had a hidden past in entertainment. There's no solid proof, and that's what keeps the buzz alive. Was he a late bloomer who found his calling at 74? Or did he have stories we'll never know? The mystery only deepens his legacy. John's ability to captivate without words wasn't just a skill, it was who he was. Fans on X called him a scene stealer, with one writing, "There was no Superstore without Brett." Off-screen, his warmth shone through in every interaction, from chats with co-stars to moments with his family. He didn't need lines to make you feel something. Sally Bingham, who passed away at 88 in August 2025, was born into Kentucky royalty, but her bold moves made her both a hero and a villain in one of America's wildest family sagas. Her story is packed with secrets, betrayals, and a legacy that still sparks debate. Let's dive in. The Bingham family wasn't just wealthy, they were powerhouses. Sally's grandfather, Robert Worth Bingham, snapped up the Louisville Courier-Journal and the Louisville Times in 1918, building a media empire that shaped Kentucky for decades. But here's where it gets murky. The money came from his second wife, Mary Lily Keenan Flagler, a widow of an oil tycoon. She died in 1917, less than a year after their wedding, and whispers of foul play have lingered ever since. Some say her heart condition was to blame, but others? They're not so sure. That shadow of doubt would haunt the family and Sally's story for generations. But that's just the beginning. Sally Bingham was no ordinary heiress. By her early 20s, she was already making waves as a writer. Her short stories landed in the Atlantic Monthly and Best American Short Stories, snagging awards like the O. Henry for her raw, gripping prose. Her first novel, After Such Knowledge, dropped in 1961, proving she wasn't just riding her family's coattails. But it was her 1989 memoir, Passion and Prejudice, that sent shockwaves. She didn't hold back, calling out her family's world as misogynistic and flawed. Fans called it a fearless exposé. Critics, including her own family, saw it as a betrayal. And what happened next would change everything. By the 1980s, Sally was back in Louisville, raising her sons and sitting on the family's company board. But she wasn't there to play nice. She called out the business for sidelining women and minorities, clashing hard with her brother, Barry Bingham Jr., who ran the show. Tensions boiled over in 1984 when Barry demanded all women in the family, including Sally, stepped down from the board to make way for business experts. Sally refused, standing her ground. It was a move that would spark a firestorm. Barry pushed her out anyway, but Sally wasn't done fighting. What came next would shock everyone. In 1985, Sally put her 15% share of the family empire up for sale. It was a bold play, and it pushed her father, Barry Sr., to make a drastic call: sell the entire business. In 1986, the Bingham media empire, newspapers, TV, radio, all of it, was sold to Gannett for $434 million. The Louisville Times shut down soon after, and the family fractured. Barry Jr. called it a betrayal. Sally saw it as freedom. Louisville buzzed with gossip, and some painted her as the villain who ended a dynasty. But was she? Rumors swirled that she'd been scapegoated, blamed for a decision that wasn't hers alone. There's more to this story than meets the eye. Out of the ashes, Sally built something new. She took $10 million from the sale and founded the Kentucky Foundation for Women in 1986, pouring money into feminist art and social justice. She didn't stop there. She created the Sally Bingham Center for Women's History and Culture at Duke University and backed women's theater in New York. Her work gave countless women a voice, turning her family's wealth into a force for change. But some say her activism was overshadowed by the family drama. Reports claim she felt unfairly targeted, with books and articles pinning the empire's fall on her. Was she a trailblazer or a troublemaker? That's where things get complicated. Let's go back to that family secret. Sally's memoir Didn't had a stroke in August 2025, just days after her 88th birthday. Online discussions still buzz about her legacy, with some fans speculating she was a visionary who exposed uncomfortable truths. John Rivera, a name you might not know yet, was that person, a Long Island legend gone too soon at just 48. His final bow as Dracula left audiences spellbound, but his sudden passing has everyone asking, what really happened to this beloved star? John Rivera was born in New York City in 1976, growing up in Queens before moving to Shirley. Art and storytelling ran in his family's blood, and by the time he graduated from St. Joseph's College with degrees in English and theater, he was ready to shine. He wasn't chasing Hollywood. He found his home in Long Island's community theaters, where his passion for connection turned every performance into something special. But that was just the start of his story. From Vittorio in Sweet Charity to Frank Butler in Annie Get Your Gun, John had a knack for stealing the show. Colleagues called him a chameleon, blending charm, humor, and heart into every role. Even when he played a jerk like Glenn in The Wedding Singer, audiences couldn't help but love him. His rich voice and magnetic presence made every character feel alive, like you were meeting a friend you'd known forever. And what happened next would cement his legacy. His final role as Dracula in Dracula, the musical at Theater 3, wasn't just a performance, it was a revelation. Critics raved about his basso profundo and hot-blooded take on the vampire, comparing him to a meatloaf with Latin seasoning. John brought humanity to a monster, leading the cast through grueling rehearsals with warmth and grit. It's no wonder fans still talk about that show. But there's more to John than his roles. Offstage, John was a real-life hero. His brother Charlie called him a personal Superman, obsessed with the idea of putting people first. Whether he was mentoring young actors or cracking jokes to lift spirits, John's kindness was his superpower. He loved everyone, and they loved him back, enough to inspire something unheard of in Long Island theater. When John passed for theaters, CM Performing Arts, Theater 3, Cultural Arts Playhouse, and Smithtown Performing Arts did something extraordinary. they dimmed their lights in his honor. It's a Broadway tradition, but for a community theater actor? That's how much John meant. I don't think that's ever happened here before, said one theater director. It was a tribute to a man who was the soul of every stage he touched. But that wasn't the whole story. John's passing at 48 shocked everyone, and whispers have started online. Fans are wondering, was it a health issue? A personal struggle? No official reports have confirmed anything, but the silence has only fueled curiosity. What we do know is that John faced every challenge with the same strength he brought to his roles, leaving behind questions that may never be answered. Michael Lydon, who passed away at 82 in July 2025, did just that. From a Boston Irish family crazy about music, he went from Yale grad to a Rolling Stone founder, capturing the 1960s wild spirit. But his story's got twists. Some say he saw more than he told. Let's dive in. Back in 1964, Lydon was just a Yale student writing for the campus paper when he dropped a bombshell. He called the Beatles poor foreign imitations of American rock gods like Chuck Berry. That article got people talking. Some loved it, others thought he was nuts. But when Rubber Soul hit in '65, something clicked. Lydon did a 180, later sitting down with John Lennon and Paul McCartney in '66. Lennon even told him, "You don't know us now if you don't know Rubber Soul." That moment flipped the switch for Lydon's rock obsession. But what came next was even wilder. Fresh out of Yale, Lydon landed at Newsweek and got sent to London, right in the heart of the swinging '60s. The city was electric, bold fashion, loud guitars, and a generation shaking things up. Lydon was there, chatting with stars and soaking in the vibe. He wasn't just reporting, he was living the revolution. And that was only the start. By the late '60s, Lydon hit San Francisco, where the hippie scene was exploding. He helped start Rolling Stone, turning it into the voice of rock. He hung out with Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and the Grateful Dead, capturing their raw energy in his writing. But not everything was peace and love. Rumors swirled about the darker side of the counterculture. Some say Lydon saw it all, but kept quiet to stay in the inner circle. What's certain is he was there for one of rock's darkest moments. In 1969, Lydon joined the Rolling Stones on their U.S. tour, ending at Altamont, a free concert that turned tragic when a fan was killed. His book, The Rolling Stones Discover America, paints a vivid picture, but some fans speculate he soft-pedaled the Stones' role in the chaos. Reports claim the band's choices, like hiring Hell's Angels for security, sparked trouble, though nothing's proven. Lydon's account stays neutral, focusing on the tour's highs and lows. But that wasn't the end of his story. In the '70s, Lydon traded his pen for a guitar, performing with his partner Ellen Mandel, and even opening for Muddy Waters. He wrote books like Ray Charles, Man and Music, cementing his legacy. He taught writing at St. John's University and played Manhattan clubs, always chasing the music he loved. But life wasn't all smooth. Parkinson's hit hard, and he fought it until his final days in July 2025. His daughter Shuna says he never stopped inspiring her. Michael Lydon didn't just write about the '60s, he lived them. Minnie Lou Bradley wasn't just a rancher, she was a force of nature. Born in 1931 on a small Oklahoma wheat farm, she didn't care for dolls or dresses. By age 9, she was showing lambs at the county fair, and at 13, she got her first Angus cow. Her passion for livestock wasn't just a hobby, it was a calling that would redefine what a woman could do in agriculture. Growing up in the 1940s, when girls were expected to stay in the kitchen, Minnie was out in the fields, earning money cleaning chicken roosts to buy a book on livestock judging. That grit set the stage for a life of breaking barriers. But what drove her to challenge the status quo so fiercely? At Oklahoma A&M, now Oklahoma State University, Minnie made history as the first woman to enroll in animal husbandry in 1949. She didn't just blend in, she dominated. As the first female on the livestock judging team, she stunned the industry by winning top beef cattle judge at the 1952 American Royal, and then taking first overall at the Chicago International Competition. Her competitors, all men, couldn't ignore her skill. She wasn't there to prove a point about gender. She just loved cattle and knew she could outjudge anyone. That fearless drive carried her forward, but the real test was yet to come. What happens when you take that talent to a rugged Texas ranch? In 1955, Minnie and her husband, Bill, took a gamble that raised eyebrows. They bought a 3,300-acre ranch near Childress, Texas, a place so harsh no owner had lasted more than 9 years. The house was falling apart, water had to be hauled in, and fences were non-existent. Most thought they'd fail, especially with a woman leading the charge. But Minnie wasn't fazed. She and Bill built Bradley 3 Ranch from the ground up, starting with just 20 cows. They turned it into a powerhouse, now spanning 13,000 acres, raising Angus and Charolais cattle built to thrive in tough country. Their secret? Treating their purebred herd like a commercial operation, focusing on bulls that could handle rough terrain. But how did they turn a struggling ranch into an industry leader? Minnie's vision went beyond survival. She innovated. In the 1980s, when most ranchers were stuck on show cattle, she focused on practical genetics, using DNA marker data as early as 1994 to breed efficient, high-quality cattle. She pioneered rotational grazing and brush control, making Bradley 3 a model for sustainability. And long before farm-to-table was a buzzword, Minnie and her family opened B3 Our Country Meats in 1986, one of the first gate-to-plate operations, selling branded beef directly to consumers. Her methods weren't just smart, they were revolutionary. But could she gain respect in a world run by cowboys? By 1998, Minnie's reputation was undeniable. She was elected to the American Angus Association's board, a group of 36,000 mostly male members. In 2004, she made history again as the first female president. Some old-school ranchers whispered doubts, saying a woman couldn't lead. Minnie didn't argue, she let her results speak. Her ranch's bulls were in demand, her sustainability practices won awards, and her blunt, honest style earned respect. She didn't just break the glass ceiling, she rebuilt the whole barn. Yet, even with all her success, the road wasn't easy. What kept her going through the toughest times? The Texas Panhandle threw everything at Minnie: droughts, financial strain, and the loss of her son, Monty, in a tragic accident. Add to that the constant skepticism from those who thought a woman couldn't hack it in ranching. Minnie faced it all with a no-nonsense attitude. "If you love it, you can do it," she said. But it's not easy. She worked alongside her daughter, Mary Lou, and son-in-law, James, turning Bradley 3 into a family legacy. She took on the 2 a.m. calving checks, even into her 70s, and taught countless students from Texas Christian University's ranch management program. Her grit wasn't just personal, it was a beacon for others. So, how did she inspire a new generation? Minnie became a mentor, especially for young women in agriculture. At a time when women were rare in the field, she showed them they could thrive. "Surround yourself with ambitious people," she'd say, pushing others to aim high. Her ranch hosted FFA students and researchers, sharing knowledge on everything from grazing patterns to vaccine protocols. Rumors swirled that she was too tough, too demanding, but those who knew her saw the truth. She cared deeply, just not in a warm and fuzzy way. Her legacy lives in the women she inspired and the industry she transformed. And when she passed on August 5, 2025 at 93, tributes poured in, calling her a true legend. But what does her story mean today? Gloria Kaufman, who passed away at 95 in August 2025, didn't just fund the arts, she redefined Los Angeles as a global dance hub. But her journey wasn't without its shadows. Let's dive into the story of a philanthropist whose passion and wealth changed lives, even as whispers of controversy followed her. Born in Detroit during the Great Depression, Gloria Pincus grew up in a modest Jewish family. Her father, a production manager, and her mother, a charity leader, couldn't afford dance lessons, but Gloria found joy dancing on her dad's toes. Those early moments sparked a lifelong love for dance, fueled by nights at Detroit's jazz clubs. But her childhood wasn't all rhythm and joy. She battled strabismus, a condition that misaligned her eyes, shaping her later mission to help others see clearly. And that's just the beginning. In the 1950s, Gloria met Donald Kaufman, a young home builder. Their first date, filled with ballroom dancing, sealed their bond. She sold her car and jewelry to help him buy land, a move that birthed Kaufman and Broad, now KB Home, alongside Eli Broad. Their success built a fortune, moving the couple from Detroit to a sprawling Brentwood ranch. But wealth alone didn't define her. It was what came next that shaped her legacy. In 1983, tragedy struck. Donald and their son-in-law died in a plane crash, leaving Gloria devastated. She could have retreated, but instead, she poured her grief into giving. Her focus? Dance and community. It was a turning point that would change Los Angeles forever. But how did she do it? Gloria's gifts to dance were monumental. In 2009, She gave $20 million to the Music Center, launching Gloria Kaufman Presents Dance, bringing world-class troupes like Alvin Ailey and the Royal Ballet to LA. Then came her crown jewel, the USC Gloria Kaufman School of Dance, founded in 2012 with an undisclosed sum, rumored to be one of the largest in dance history. She also transformed UCLA's old gym into Gloria Kaufman Hall with an $18 million gift. These moves made LA a dance capital, but there was more to her mission. Her own vision struggles inspired her to fund the Gloria Kaufman Eye Clinic at Venice Family Clinic, offering free eye care to kids. In 2023, she partnered with the Entertainment Community Fund, creating a vision fund and affordable housing for artists. Her generosity touched hospitals, libraries, and even a new theater at Vista Del Marche. But not every step was flawless. In 2009, Gloria faced a storm. She sued over $50 million in trust losses tied to AIG's collapse, a move some called bold, others reckless. Online chatter still swirls about her financial choices, and after her death, posts on X speculated about the true size of her USC donation, with some claiming it hid mismanagement. These rumors remain unverified, but they add a layer of mystery to her story. What's the truth behind the numbers? Even in her final years, Gloria kept giving. Her 2023 donation to the Entertainment Community Fund blended her love for arts and health, ensuring artists had homes and kids had sight-saving care. When she passed in August 2025, tributes poured in. USC's president called her love for dance contagious, and the Music Center dedicated its 2025-26 season to her. Her legacy lives in every dancer who graces a stage she built. Lucia Ephraim, a Romanian icon known as Toto, was both a voice for truth and a heart for people. By the time she left us at 57, she'd changed countless lives. Here's her story, and it's one you won't forget. Lucia was born in 1968 in Galatz, a gritty port city along the Danube. In the early 90s, as Romania shook off its communist past, she packed her dreams and headed to Bucharest. The city was buzzing with change, and Lucia found her place in the heart of it, journalism. It wasn't just a job, it was her calling. But what set her apart wasn't just ambition. It was her fire to tell stories that mattered. At Mediafax, Romania's top news agency, Lucia became a force. For over 20 years, she dug into politics, justice, and social issues, rising to deputy editor-in-chief. Colleagues called her relentless, not because she chased headlines, but because she chased truth. She'd wrestle with a story until it revealed its core, and she never backed down from her principles. If you wanted to change her mind, you'd better bring a mountain of evidence. And yet, she listened, really listened, to the people behind the stories. What made Lucia special was her heart. She didn't just report on pain, she felt it. Whether it was a family caught in a scandal or a community hit by crisis, she saw the human side. Her articles weren't just words, they were lifelines for those she wrote about. And that empathy? It wasn't confined to the newsroom. It spilled into everything she did. In 2022, when war tore through Ukraine, Lucia didn't just watch from afar. She showed up at Bucharest's Gara de Nord, where terrified refugees poured in. For nearly 2 months, she was there, handing out food, finding clothes, securing beds for exhausted mothers and their kids. One friend recalls her calling from the station, asking to borrow an empty apartment for a Ukrainian family. That was Lucia, always moving mountains for others. But there's more to her story that'll surprise you. To those who knew her, she was Toto, a nickname that carried her warmth. She had this spark, like a firecracker in a quiet room. She remembered everyone's birthdays, showing up with gifts so personal they'd leave you speechless. A colleague once said she could turn a brutal day into a celebration, organizing impromptu parties that felt like family. Even her anger, rare as it was, fizzled fast over a glass of wine and a laugh. Her energy was contagious, and her absence is a void. Sadly, Lucia faced a battle no one could win. In 2025, after months at Bucharest's Oncology Institute, she slipped away on August 6th. Reports say she fought quietly, surrounded by a flood of visitors, friends, colleagues, even hospital staff were struck by how many came to see her. It was proof of the lives she'd touched. But that wasn't the end of her story. Her funeral at Cimitarul Bellu in Bucharest drew crowds, a testament to her impact. From the newsroom to the refugee tents, Lucia's legacy lives in the truth she told and the people she lifted. She wasn't just a journalist, she was a force of good in a messy world. And what she left behind challenges us all. to live with purpose, to care fiercely, and to never stop fighting for what's right. Jason Delavari, Iran's super heavyweight boxing star, was on track to become a legend until something took him out of the ring for good. This is the story of a fighter who faced more than just opponents in the ring, and it's one you won't forget. Born in Gemshar, Iran, Jason Delavari was a force from the start. At just 20, he stepped into the 2006 Asian Games, throwing punches in the super heavyweight division, a class where every hit could end a fight. He walked away with a bronze medal, proving he could hang with the best, even after a tough loss to Uzbekistan's Rustam Saidov. That was just the beginning of a career that had fans buzzing. By 2011, Delavari was making waves again, reaching the finals of the Asian Elite Boxing Championships. 3 years later, he grabbed silver at the 2014 Asian Games, going toe-to-toe with Kazakhstan's Ivan Dichko. His power and heart made him a standout, but what came next tested him in ways no opponent could. There was more to his story than medals. In 2016, a torn ACL sidelined Delavari. Surgery was a success, and he fought his way back, showing the kind of grit that defined him. But while he was battling in the gym, another fight was brewing, one he couldn't train for. Whispers started about a health struggle that pulled him from the spotlight. That struggle, a quiet battle with a disease that's been hitting Iran hard. Reports say 1 in 4 Iranians face this same fight by age 75, and Delavari was no exception. Fans didn't hear much, but the toll was heavy. And it wasn't just his health. Some say Iran's athletes, like Delavari, face pressures beyond the ring, from politics to protests, that add weight to their struggles. Online, fans still talk about what could have been. Posts on X speculate about his unrealized dreams, wondering why such a talent faded so fast. The truth? We don't know the full story of his illness, but it's clear it hit hard. By August 2025, at just 38, Delavari lost his final fight. Osvaldo Piro, who left us at 88, wasn't just a musician. He was a legend who reshaped Argentina's soulful sound. But there's more to his story than you might know, and it's not all in the music sheets. Let's uncover the life of a tango titan whose passion and controversies still echo today. Piro was a prodigy, plain and simple. Born in Buenos Aires, La Paternal in 1937, he picked up the bandoneon at 10 and was playing professionally by 15. Imagine a kid, barely a teenager, sharing stages with tango giants like Ricardo Petavilla and Alfredo Gobi. His big break? Aníbal Troilo, the godfather of tango, took him under his wing and later gifted him one of his own bandoneons, a sacred torch passed. That moment set Piro on a path to greatness, but it was just the start. What made Piro stand out wasn't just skill, it was vision. His compositions, like Azul Noche and Octobra, breathed new life into tango. He brought back the flute, an instrument tango had almost forgotten, weaving it into his orchestras with a modern edge. Leading the Orquesta Nacional de Música Argentina in the 90s, he pushed boundaries, blending tradition with a bold, fresh sound. But there was something else brewing in his world, something more personal. Enter Susana Rinaldi, the voice of tango and Piro's great love. They met in 1968 at Michelangelo, a Buenos Aires hotspot, and sparks flew. Their marriage produced 2 kids, Legia and Alfredo, both musicians, and a partnership that defined tango's golden era. Even after their divorce, they reunited in 2023 for Reencuentro, a Latin Grammy-nominated album and concert that left audiences in tears. But was it just music, or was there unfinished business between them? That's what fans still whisper about. Then came Cordoba. In the 60s, Piro fell for the province's charm during a festival. Years later, hit by career setbacks during Argentina's turbulent De La Rua era, he made La Falda his home. There, he led the Orquesta Provincial de Música Ciudadana, composing for theater and film, and found a new rhythm. But his move wasn't just about music. It was a reinvention, a way to escape the chaos and keep tango alive. And yet, not everyone agreed with his outlook. Piro didn't hold back his thoughts, and that stirred trouble. He once said Argentina's youth lacked pride, chasing foreign music over tango, blaming a colonial mentality. Those words sparked heated debates. Some called him a patriot, others thought he was out of touch. Posts on X still buzz with fans arguing over whether he was right or just clinging to the past. Either way, his passion for Argentina's soul was undeniable, and it kept people talking. In his final days, rumors swirled. Reports claim Piro battled a long illness, with a sudden collapse landing him in a Cordoba hospital before his passing on August 7, 2025. Fans on X speculate about what really happened, but details remain scarce. What we do know is the outpouring of love, his daughter Legia's heartfelt tribute, Vola Alto Papa, and the Academia Nacional del Tango's salute to a legend. His work with Tango por la Identidad and performances from Japan to Finland showed he wasn't just Argentina's, he was the world's. Umit Aktan wasn't just a sports commentator, he was the heartbeat of Turkish football, a man whose passion turned every match into a story. But behind his iconic voice lies a tale of dreams shattered, battles fought, and a legacy that still echoes today. Let's dive into the life of a legend who left more than just words on the airwaves. Born in 1949 in Nazilli, Aydın, Umit Aktan was a kid with big dreams and a bigger love for football. He earned a spot in Galatasaray's youth academy, where coaches saw a star in the making. But fate had other plans. A devastating injury crushed his hopes of playing professionally, forcing him to walk away from the pitch far too soon. Most would have given up, but Aktan? He turned pain into purpose, channeling his love for the game into something even greater. And that's where the real story begins. In 1972, a new voice hit the airwaves at TRT, and Turkish sports would never be the same. Aktan's commentary wasn't just about goals and fouls, it was about storytelling. His deep knowledge, smooth delivery, and knack for capturing the drama of the game made him a sensation. Fans tuned in not just for the match, but for him. He brought the stadium into living rooms, making every listener feel like they were right there in the stands. But what made him stand out wasn't just his voice, it was his heart. And there was so much more to come. Aktan didn't stop at TRT. He became a fixture across channels like Canal 6, TGRT, Spor, and more, adapting to every platform with ease. His show Haiti Maka was a must-watch, blending analysis with the kind of energy that kept viewers glued to their screens. Whether it was a Super League showdown or a European clash, Aktan had a way of making every moment electric. But behind the mic, he was building something even bigger, a reputation as a man who lived for the game. And that's not where his story ends. Beyond the booth, Aktan was a wordsmith. He penned columns for Turkmen, Yeni Şafak, and Türkiye, breaking down sports with the same clarity he brought to his broadcasts. His writing wasn't just about stats, it was about the culture, the passion, the soul of the game. He didn't chase headlines, he told truths, earning respect from fans and players alike. But what many didn't know was how much he gave back off-screen, and that's a story worth hearing. Whispers had been circling for a while about Aktan's health. Reports suggest he'd been battling a heart condition, quietly fighting while still giving his all to the sports world. We don't have all the details, and we won't pretend to, but it's clear his strength went beyond the microphone. Those close to him say he never let his struggles dim his passion, even as he spent time in the hospital. It's a reminder that even legends face battles we don't always see. But what happened next would touch a nation. When news broke on August 7, 2025, that Umit Aktan had passed away at 76, Turkey stopped. Galatasaray, where he'd once dreamed of stardom, called him a man who added value to sports and people. President Erdogan himself shared a tribute, calling Aktan a master whose voice shaped generations. The Turkish Football Federation praised his work on national team matches, while fans flooded social media with memories of his iconic calls. It wasn't just a loss, it was the end of an era. But there's one more piece of his story you might not know. Aktan wasn't just a voice for the big leagues. Not long before his passing, he made a heartfelt call for Kastamonuliler to rally behind GMG Kastamonuspor, a local team far from the spotlight. It was classic Aktan, lifting up the underdog, staying true to the game's roots. He wasn't just a commentator, he was a champion for every corner of Turkish sports. And that's what made him unforgettable. Imagine a book so powerful it helped dismantle an entire system of suffering. That's what Gianni Berengo Garden did with Morir di Classe, a project that shook Italy to its core. But who is this man, and why are people still talking about him today? Let's uncover the story of a photographer who saw the world differently. Gianni Berengo Garden wasn't born with a camera in his hand, but it sure felt that way. Born in 1930 in Santa Margherita Ligure, he called Venice his true home, where he taught himself photography in the 1950s. With no formal training, he let the streets of Italy teach him how to see. His Leica became an extension of his soul, capturing moments most would overlook. But what made him stand out wasn't just skill, it was his heart. and that heart would lead him to places others dared not go. Through his lens, Berengo Garden documented Italy's heartbeat. From crowded trains to stolen kisses under Venetian porticos, his black and white images froze the dreams and struggles of a nation rebuilding after war. He didn't chase beauty for beauty's sake, he chased truth. Whether it was workers in factories or kids playing in alleys, his photos told stories of real people living real lives. But one project would define his legacy above all others, that in 1969. Berengo Garden and Carlo Cerati stepped into Italy's asylums, camera in hand, guided by reformer Franco Basaglia. What they found was haunting. Patients treated more like prisoners than people. Their book, Morire di Classe, laid bare these inhumane conditions. They photographed only with consent, focusing not on illness but on the stark reality of neglect. The images were a silent scream, impossible to ignore. And Italy listened. Those photos didn't just shock, they sparked a revolution. Morire di Classe became a rallying cry for change, helping pass the 1978 Basaglia Law, which shut down asylums and transformed mental health care. Decades later, in 2024, the book was republished, reminding new generations of its impact. But Berengo Garden's fight didn't stop there. He had more to say, and Venice was his next battleground. Berengo Garden loved Venice, but he wasn't blind to its struggles. In 2015, he turned his camera on the giant cruise ships clogging the city's lagoon, threatening its delicate ecosystem. His exhibition stirred up controversy, with some calling it a wake-up call and others dismissing it as alarmist. Reports claim these ships still spark heated debates about tourism's toll on Venice. Berengo Garden didn't shy away from the fight. He used his art to demand change. His work didn't just stay in Italy. Museums like MoMA in New York and the Maison Européenne in Paris showcased his photos. He won awards like the Lucy in 2008 and joined the Leica Hall of Fame in 2017. They called him Italy's Cartier-Bresson, but he shrugged it off, saying, "I'm the Willy Ronis of Italy." A note from Cartier-Bresson himself, praising his work, was his proudest treasure. Yet he always called himself an artisan, not an artist, staying true to his mission of telling stories. When Berengo Garden passed away in August 2025 at 94, the world mourned a giant. His death came just as a new exhibition, I Sentieri del Sacro, was set to honor his work at the 2025 Rimini meeting. Over 260 books and 2 million negatives later, his legacy lives on, urging us to see the world with open eyes. But here's the thing, what's next? What happens when a man at the heart of country music's spotlight faces a battle so secret it shocks the world? Brandon Blackstock, a name tied to stars like Kelly Clarkson and Blake Shelton, lived a life full of triumphs, controversies, and a hidden struggle that changed everything. At just 48, his story ended in a way no one expected, leaving fans, family, and the music industry reeling. Let's dive into the life of a man who built a legacy, faced heartbreak, and fought in silence until the very end. Brandon Blackstock wasn't just any talent manager. He was a powerhouse in the music world. Born into the industry as the son of Narvel Blackstock, a legendary manager, and stepson to country icon Reba McEntire, Brandon had music in his blood. He carved his own path, guiding the careers of heavyweights like Blake Shelton and later, Kelly Clarkson. His knack for spotting talent and making deals put him at the top of the game, earning respect from artists and executives alike. But behind the scenes, something was brewing that would test his strength in ways no one saw coming. Then came the love story that captured hearts. In 2012, Brandon met Kelly Clarkson, the American Idol superstar, at a Super Bowl event. Sparks flew instantly. Clarkson once told people she knew he was the one the moment he walked by, making everyone laugh with his charm. By 2013, they were married at a dreamy Tennessee farm, welcoming their daughter River in 2014 and son Remington in 2016. Their romance seemed like a fairy tale, with Clarkson even writing her hit song Piece by Piece about how Brandon healed her past wounds. But even the strongest love stories can face cracks. Those cracks appeared in 2020 when Clarkson filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. What followed was a storm of legal battles that made headlines. The couple fought over custody of their 2 kids, spousal support, and a Montana ranch they both claimed. Rumors swirled about financial disputes, with Clarkson later suing Brandon, alleging he'd pocketed millions in unlawful commissions as her manager. The public watched as their once perfect love story turned into a messy, drawn-out saga. And yet, something even bigger was happening behind closed doors, something no one outside their inner circle knew about. That something was a battle Brandon fought in silence. For 3 years, he faced melanoma, a deadly form of skin cancer that can spread fast if not caught early. Reports from sources like TMZ say he was diagnosed around 2022, but chose to keep it private, shielding his family from the public's prying eyes. Fans had no clue he was dealing with such a serious illness, and even those close to him were largely in the dark. It was a secret that would only come to light when it was too late. The first hint came on August 6, 2025, when Kelly Clarkson dropped a bombshell. In an emotional Instagram post, she announced she was postponing her Las Vegas residency, saying, "My children's father has been ill, and I need to be fully present for them." Fans were stunned. Brandon was sick. How bad was it? No one realized the gravity of her words until the next day, when the heartbreaking news broke. Brandon had passed away peacefully, surrounded by family, after his 3-year fight. The music world was left in shock, grappling with how such a private struggle could stay hidden for so long. Beyond his marriage to Clarkson, Brandon's family ties added layers to his story. He had 2 older children, Savannah and Seth, from his first marriage to Melissa Ashworth. In 2022, Savannah made him a grandfather, a joyful moment that brought light to his life amidst his health battle. His connection to Reba McEntire, his stepmother during her marriage to Narvel from 1989 to 2015, also kept him in the spotlight. Reba once called Clarkson her buddy and supported both during their divorce, showing the tight-knit bonds that defined Brandon's world. But why did he keep his illness so quiet? Melanoma, the disease Brandon faced, is no small foe. It's an aggressive cancer that starts in the skin, but can spread to organs if not treated early. Reports suggest Brandon's diagnosis came around 2022, and he chose to fight it privately, likely to protect his kids from the media frenzy. Some say he wanted to spare his family the stress of public scrutiny while he underwent treatments. Others speculate he hoped to beat it quietly and return to life as usual. Whatever the reason, his silence added a layer of mystery to a man who was already an enigma to many. In the end, Brandon Blackstock's legacy is more than the headlines. He was a father to 4, a grandfather, and a talent manager who shaped the careers of music's biggest names. His passing on August 7, 2025, at just 48, left a void in the industry and in the lives of those who knew him. Fans flooded social media with tributes, sharing stories of his charm and dedication. Clarkson, despite their rocky past, was said to be devastated for their kids, putting them first as always. Brandon's story reminds us how fragile life can be, even for those who seem to have it all. What do you think about his journey? Share your thoughts below, and let's keep his memory alive.